Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Feel free to check out the handouts. We uploaded a few handouts for you, some different PDFs hot off the press. While we wait for everyone to join in. We did have about 50 people register for today's event, which is great. Maybe more. Everyone was kind of rolling in at the last minute, which is very understandable. And I am joined today by Madeline Colber, part of our LODI Rules Committee, also a LODI Rules grower, and Amy Heiser, the Certification Manager for Protected Harvest. So they are on board and able to answer questions and chime in as needed. They've got their video and audio ready to go. We will be showing a few videos today, and we tested these out ahead of time. If you're having trouble hearing them when they start, it may be that the audio on your computer is turned down. So you might want to check that. If you can't hear the audio of the videos that we play, just turn the audio up on your computer. Some of us are using our phones, and I think that if you're only logged in with your phone, that it will be fine for your audio on the videos. But if you're using your phone and your computer, the video may play the sound only through your computer. Great. So it is 10:01, and I like to keep things rolling on time. So we'll go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for our annual LODI Rules year-end recap, grower and winery meeting. We do like to come together. We prefer to come together in person, but we like to come together any way we can, right? To discuss the accomplishments of the previous year, to discuss any changes that might be coming on, and to talk to our community about how you can get the most out of all of this effort that you put into sustainable wine growing. So we've done a lot on the promotion side of things this year. We've done a lot on looking intensely as the LODI Rules Committee and Protected Harvest and the LODI Wine Grape Commission intensely looking at the program and how it can improve, but we also understand that change can be difficult, so we don't want to change a lot of things at once, and so we're very thoughtful in how we bring about any changes and put a lot of effort into saying, okay, is this something that will really help the farmer in their efforts towards sustainability? So we're going to review a lot of that today. If you have any questions, feel free to type those in the chat box. I don't think that other people can see what you type in the chat box, but that is possible. I'm not quite sure. I know in previous webinars that's the case. And then just in case you're wondering, we cannot see you. So don't worry if you're hanging out with messy hair or in your pajamas. We can't see you. That's been a question we've got before too. All right, so let's get to it. I always like to start off with the motto of our program at these meetings. So the motto of the LODI Rules program is, may we farm in a way that meets the needs of today without compromising the ability of future generations to create their own livelihoods. And that is one of our LODI Rules farmers, Aaron Shin, holding up his little daughter there in that picture. So the LODI Rules program is owned and created and led by the LODI Wine Grape Commission, which was established in 1991. The commission is made up of about 750 farmers. There's about, give or take, 90 to 100,000 acres of vineyards in the LODI AVA, lots of different wine grape varieties. And the mission of the LODI Wine Grape Commission is to empower all LODI wine growers and serve their common interest to enhance the profitability of wine grape production through promotion, research, and education. And shortly after the commission was established, there was an IPM program for a grower outreach program for the farmers, started around 1992, that led to the LODI Wine Growers Workbook in, I think, around 2001, which was prepared by the growers along with Dr. Cliff Omar and Steve Mathiasen. And they're holding the original first edition of the LODI Wine Growers Workbook there. The second edition is pictured on the left, and that was produced with the help of additionally Cliff and Steve and Chris Storm, who's now a Lodi Rules grower and committee member. And that workbook came out, I think, around 2008. The Lodi Rules for Sustainable Wine Growing first edition came out in 2005. And we started with just 5 growers, and now we have about 150 applicants, but actually even more growers involved in the program today. The Lodi Rules program is directed and led by myself, Stuart Spencer from the Lodi Wine Grape Commission, and this lovely Lodi Rules Committee. As you can see, our pictures over time are getting a little more professional, which is great. So clockwise from top left, we have Chris Storm, Aaron Shin, Warren Bogle, Charlie Hamilton, Dirk Wavell, Steve Kwashnick in the bottom right there with his granddaughter, Bruce Fry, Madeline Colbert, who's joining us on the call today, Stanton Lang, and Phil Abba, who's our chair. And several of these other people are on the call as well. Madeline's just the kindest volunteer who agreed to also add her video in case there's questions. So we always also like to start not only with the motto, but also the definition of sustainability. I think when you look at this big Lodi Rules binder and you try to define it by thinking about the binder and the standards and the big program as a whole, it can be quite overwhelming. So a simple way to define sustainability is farming that is environmentally and socially responsible while also being profitable. So there's these 3 pillars of sustainability. And we really encourage all of our growers, all of our wineries, all of the different members of the Lodi Rules wine growing community to come up with a short definition of sustainability that you feel comfortable saying to a stranger. So, it's a little bit of an elevator pitch, if you will. It's really important that you have this definition in mind, because as you display a Lodi Rules seal on a vineyard sign or tell someone that you're in the program, we want you to know what that means to you in your own words. And I think that our community does a fantastic job of coming up with describing sustainability. And if you're looking for more ways of how different people describe sustainability in our community, you can always go to lodirules.org and check out some of the quotes that we put up there on definitions of sustainability. We like Wendell Berry's definition too. A sustainable agriculture does not deplete people or soil. We also like to keep in mind the goals of our program. There's a lot of paperwork involved, and sometimes the tasks can be daunting, getting ready for an audit, for example. But we really have designed the program and improved it over time to make sure that it does meet these goals and provide benefits to the farmer and to the wineries to participate through using a seal. So the goals of the program are to conserve and protect resources, making best use of on-site resources and carefully managing human and financial resources, to stabilize vineyard agro ecosystems, encouraging biodiversity, especially in the soils. I am happy to tell you that we have Miguel Altieri. We're in contact with him to be a speaker at a meeting. It's just been hard to get him since he spends part of the year in South America. But we will have Miguel Altieri. A lot of you know he's considered the father of ag biodiversity as a guest speaker, hopefully at one of these annual year-end recap events, if not at another meeting that we'll tell you about. Another goal is to minimize impacts of vineyard operations off-site, so containing drift, runoff, erosion, and creating positive relationships in your communities and with your neighbors. And then finally, a great part of the Sustainable Wine Growing certification is that it communicates your commitment to responsible farming. So not everyone can visit your farm, not everyone sees what you do, but we have this certification process in place with the audits so that you can show the world that you are a sustainable farmer or that you are producing wine from sustainably grown grapes without them having to actually visit your farm. Although we definitely encourage farm visits. And then, of course, one of our goals is to grow a sustainable wine growing community so that we are all learning together because, as you know, in the world of viticulture, the learning never ends, which is super fun. And that's part of the joy of being in this industry, is that if you have a curious mind, you can always learn how to do better. So it's also very important to us that every one of our LODI rule standards or farming practices meets these 3 criteria. It's measurable, it addresses at least one of the 3 aspects of sustainability, and it is economically feasible to implement. So there's a lot of fancy vineyard practices that are really amazing and cool, but we want to make sure that, you know, the average farmer can implement that practice also, without having a heavy financial burden. And then when we were looking at revising the standards over the last 2 years, we also wanted to make sure that any standard practice that we added to the program was based in sound science and not just a trend. So that's kind of a 4th thing that became important to us. I was having a lot of great conversations with Monica Bianchi. So Monica graduated, and you might be on the call, Monica, hopefully. Monica graduated from Cal Poly Ag Business program, and she was telling me how LODI Rules is a business plan, not just for sustainability, but for a whole farming operation. And she said that in her experience working with several different growers in the program, and really she knows the program just as well as anyone else does. She's really put a lot of effort into the program. She said that it's easy through the online self-assessment to see where you are doing well and to see where you need improvement as a farmer. And there is a lot of trust and faith that these farming practices, if they're implemented, do help you to run your farming operation in a more efficient manner, in a more profitable manner, and overall in a more successful manner. So that was, I thought, a great quote from Monica. Also, we've had a lot of different presentations of LODI rules out to other types of groups, and everyone asks about pesticides. And it's really neat. Dr. Cliff Omer, he wrote a fantastic, easy to read, logical research article a while back in Wines and Vines. We've reposted it on lodigrowers.com, so you can find it there as well if you do a little search at lodigrowers.com, and just showing how the LODI Rules program has helped to reduce pesticide risk over time. And I don't expect you to be able to read this chart or anything on this slide. I just wanted to show you that that paper is out there, and it's something that can be nice to share when you're faced with people asking you about pesticides and sustainability. So we like to share that paper with others. And finally, we like to talk about the value of sustainability in terms of wine grape quality, because we're always trying to improve our wine grape quality, right? And so we really do have concrete evidence from our farmers over time that the LODI Rules program has helped them reduce pests and diseases, help them become more efficient, help them have greater financial flexibility, which means that you can choose which practices to implement. And we have conversations all the time at the LODI Wine Grape Commission about how a more profitable farmer, or a farmer with greater financial flexibility, really can pick and choose the farming practices instead of just trying to cut corners, right? Help growers learn from each other. The program also forces some of you, unfortunately, some of you really hate that part of it, but it forces a certain level of record keeping, which, some of us, we aren't going to keep those records unless we have to, and it gives us deadlines to have a lot of records for our farm that we wouldn't otherwise possibly have. And even though it feels like a chore, I think it is really a benefit of the program, because then you get to see changes over time. If you ever needed to sell part of your vineyard, or pass your, when it comes time to pass your vineyard down to the next generation, there's a lot of records that can prove invaluable to the next farmer, and also improves the quality of labor. We have a whole chapter on human resources management, right? Okay, so let's go into 2021 and talk about just how the year went and some of the stats of the program. So the good news is that we are growing. In 2021, we certified 64,834 acres of LODI Rules. They're LODI Rules Vineyard certified in 14 crush districts in California, in Washington State, and in Israel. And that's up from about 55,380 acres in 2020. There are now about 1,302 certified vineyard blocks, 150 applicants, and we estimate over $12 million in grower bonuses paid for certified grapes. And that's actually probably a low estimate. If you're curious about the program over time, you can always check out this chart. It's in the link to the LODI Rules, the PDF of the LODI Rules standards, which is available at lodigrowers.com/standards. And every year around this time, we update this little brief introduction to the program that is at the beginning of the PDF of the standards, and to show what's happening over time. So on the left-hand side, the y-axis are the acres. On the bottom is the different year. So it goes from 2005 to 2021 today. And the blue line is the total acreage certified. The red line is the acreage certified in the LODI region alone. And then the green line, starting in 2008, is the acreage that's certified outside the LODI region. And so right now that means outside LODI in California, in Washington, and in Israel. And you'll notice that in 2021 was the first year that the acreage outside the LODI region increased above the acreage inside the LODI region. And this drive from 2020 to 2021, this steep up slope here that we have of increase in acres, was largely due to wineries looking for certified sustainable grapes. And we have a big thanks to Warren Bogle for increasing the acreage of certified vineyards for Bogle. They use the California Rules seal. So at the LODI Wine Grape Commission, we launched a grower educational program called the Modern Farmer Series. And one of the benefits we think of the LODI Rules program in particular is that the LODI Rules program is part of the LODI Wine Grape Commission, and the commission is very engaged with the farming community, and the commission does viticulture research and education to the farmers. So very tapped in, and so LODI Rules growers get to tap into that network of education and research, and we always try to share things that we learn in LODI with the LODI Rules growers who are all over the world. So part of one of the outreach programs that we are sharing with our LODI Rules growers is this Modern Farmer Series. So many of you can understand this little cartoon. I get told all the time that back in the day, it was very easy. Farming was so much fun. I could drive the tractor in the sunset. I didn't have the cell phone with everyone bugging me all day long. There were a lot less regulations to worry about, and it just seemed a little simpler. And so today's farmer, in addition to basic farming, needs to also have all these extra skills that weren't necessarily required 20 years ago. So you have to be a technology evaluator, you have to be VP of grape sales, you have to be a storyteller, they say, you need to get out on social media, you have to be good at negotiating a wine grape contract. There's all these new skills that are required that I don't think that every farmer today really felt like they signed up for. So we're trying to help with some of this change by providing some grower marketing tools so that a farmer would feel like they have a toolkit to be the salesperson that they now have to be. So we shared these grower marketing tools with our LODI community and then opened them up also to our LODI Rules community. So here's an example of one of those tools on the right. It's called a vineyard tech sheet. So if you're interested in creating a vineyard tech sheet for one of your current LODI Rules certified vineyards, just contact me, Stephanie at lodiwine.com. I'll send you over an information sheet, and then we'll work with a graphic designer to prepare a vineyard tech sheet for you at no cost to you. So you just provide the information and a good photo and a little bit of a story, and then we'll put that together and you'll have a PDF that you can print out and share with potential wine grape buyers. And it really makes you look professional, and it describes the LODI Rules program pretty succinctly there as well. This was communicated to everyone in the LODI Rules program in February 2021 as a newsletter, an electronic newsletter, so that would have come through your email. And it's also available at lodigrowers.com/standard. So it describes a bunch of different, not just this vineyard tech sheet, but a bunch of different grower marketing tools that we have created for the LODI Rules farmers, and also there's winery marketing tools as well under the winery resources tab at lodigrowers.com. But these marketing tools that we've created so that you can better communicate your commitment to sustainable wine growing. And of course, we hope that this helps you become more profitable. So one of the neat things that we did also in 2021 was we created a 1-minute explainer video with a company called Rheingold. They gave us probably about a $22,000 discount so that we could afford it. And we created this little video that we then shared out through our e-newsletter. So hopefully if you're in the program, you got that. And also shared it with our winery community, and a lot of people used it for Earth Day or for to put on their website or as social media, so that they could like quickly, simply explain sustainable wine growing. And really the goal of this video was to get more consumers to take a wine bottle, turn it around and look for a seal and kind of understand a little better about what that seal means. So I am going to show you that video now. And it is available if you go to lodirules.org. It pops right up to see it. But I also can email it, or I can share a downloadable link if you want to add that to any of your marketing materials. So again, just remember that if you can't hear the video, you may need to turn the volume up on your computer.
You do your part for the planet. After finishing that bottle of wine last night, you rinsed it out and dropped it in the recycling bin. But back up. What if you could support a healthier world before you shared the wine, popped the cork, or even took the bottle off the shelf? You can. For years, our LODI Rules seals have signified a wine grower's commitment to more than 100 sustainability practices, from how the grapes are grown to how the farm itself is run. Environmentally conscious and socially responsible. That means taking care of the land, using beneficial insects to reduce the need for pesticides, protecting the water and regenerating the soil. It also means taking care of the people who farm that land, ensuring their safety, investing in education, so that we can leave everything a little better than how we found it. You can support that commitment. You can share in that spirit. We've bottled it up here for you. Just look for one of our seals.
Awesome. So I hope that you like, oh, sorry. It sounds like somebody might have their, it's echoing on my end. I hope it's not echoing on your end. Okay. So another thing that we've done is create other promotional materials, such as a water bottle, pop-top water bottle with a educational water management infographic.
Hey, Steph, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you're echoing. Maybe one of your speakers is on. Can't hear you. Can't hear you, Steph.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes, that's great.
I think I turned the computer volume up too loud. I apologize. So what you're looking at now is some of our other promotional material. And on the left is a pop-top water bottle. And this was Madeline's idea. We saw these really beautiful water bottles at a local restaurant, which is a really good pizza place called Guantonio's. And what's neat about this pop top water bottle is that if you spin the bottle around, there's the Lodi Rules seal in white. So you can, it looks really cool from both sides. And it's educational and pretty, right? So it's all good. And then next up, we have the Lodi Rules Hydro Flask. This was Chris Storm's idea. These have been really popular. We've been doing these since 2017. We do a different color every year. So right now, the Hydro Flask is this beautiful blue color. And we will have these Hydro Flasks available at Unified. If you're a Lodi Rules grower, if you attended the seminar, or if you're a Lodi Rules participating winery, we're more than happy to share a Hydro Flask with you. So just pop by our booth at Unified. I'll give you that number at the end of the presentation. I believe it's booth 1410 if you're going, and we're happy to give you a Hydro Flask. Or if you're coming through Lodi and you are a Lodi Rules grower and you want to come by and get any of these promotional materials that we have available, you're more than welcome to do so. We also have hats and pins and patches and all kinds of things. So next up on the right, we have this spread of Lodi Rules Sustainability Bingo cards. These came out in April of 2021. And these bingo cards are supposed to be something that is fun to do as you drive through a wine region. So we also have California rules versions and certified green versions if you're outside of Lodi. And it's just kind of like a scavenger hunt bingo game, kind of like a travel bingo game that you can play in a car. So it's pandemic friendly and fun, and kind of teaches people about the elements of sustainable wine growing. And they come with a little sprout pencil that you could use to mark off the squares, or also we have little stickers as well. If you haven't seen the sprout pencils yet, those are really cool too. We'll have those at Unified as well, and those are plantable pencils. So just getting the word out there. We're also working with other conservation programs to engage consumers. So we believe that the message is stronger. The message about like look for a certified sustainable logo or seal on a wine bottle is stronger if the different programs that carry those logos and labels work together. So we used our infographic that was designed by Michael Mullen, the Sustainable Vineyard Map, and created a design to be used in nugget markets with Mike Taylor, the beverage director. And hopefully a lot of you got to see these gorgeous large 3 by 4 foot signs up in Nugget. That was from September to October of last year. Another fun thing we did is a lot of our different Lodi Rules participating farmers and winemakers participated in a Roots Fund educational scholar tour and visit. We're really engaged in helping the next generation, interacting with the next generation, and creating more opportunities in our wine industry for people to succeed. And we had just a fantastic time hosting them in Lodi, and hope to do many more events like that for sure. Another big accomplishment for 2021 was we translated the Lodi Rules standards into Spanish. So again, making our program more approachable by more people. And if you need a PDF of the Lodi Rules standards in Espanol, you can send me an email, stephanie@lodiwine.com, and we will have that also up at lodigrowers.com/standards and lodirules.org, hopefully in the next month. We were able to share the Spanish translation of the Lodi Rules standards with this fun group from Uruguay. So we had about 12 growers visit us from Uruguay in the last year and had a really good time. And one of the main reasons that they wanted to visit was to learn about how we do sustainable wine growing and how we created the Lodi Rules program. And so it's really neat that this program that started in Lodi, California is now very internationally known and attracts people from all over the world. So you can all be very proud of that. Another fun thing we did last year was in Schulenburg Vineyard, and Wendy, I think you might be on here this morning, and hopefully in Schulenburg Vineyard we did a family-friendly sheep grazing demo, and I have another video to play that explains that. And then additionally, Ted Rieger wrote an educational article about the sheep grazing process if any farmers want to try it out. So we'll release that article in the next month as well, and you'll get a copy of that article. And I'm going to show you this video, which we'll post on YouTube and our different outlets as well. So let's play this video. And this is, other than showing it to a few board members a couple of weeks ago, this is its little debut. So Robert Calzada did this video for us.
In Lodi, California, headquarters of the International LODI Rules Sustainable Wine Growing Program, we connected a young, energetic sheep Basque rancher with an old vine Zinfandel vineyard to test out the ancient farming practice of using sheep in the vineyard for weed management just before bud break. Here's what happened.
My name's Frankie Arbrua III. I'm a fourth generation sheep rancher here in Lodi. I've been interested in grazing vineyards ever since I've come to Lodi. I mean, I rented a piece of property right across from a vineyard, and just every year looked at those, those weeds out there, as weird as that sounds, and thought, man, my sheep would sure love to eat that.
I purchased the vineyard about 43 years ago now. These vines are about 65 to 70 years old. I never thought there'd be sheep in the vineyard. We're trying something new, and we can study the amount of nitrogen that's put back in the soil and things like that. So there's a lot to be learned.
One of the main reasons why I wanted to have the sheep out here in the vineyard was to reduce our use of using pesticides. They've only been here for 4 days, and they've been in the back 3 acres already of the old vines. They've just done a great job mowing down the weeds in the back.
Some of the things I think are really beneficial on using sheep out in the vineyard. The first thing is post-harvest. We're able to bring the sheep in while you still have decent feed quality and graze through the whole vineyard floor. It's like you mowed everything from vine to vine. We're able to reduce our tractor passes by not having to spray very much.
In the early 90s, my brother and I were farming, and we decided to diversify and start wine grapes. We incorporated sheep in the vineyards, and that entailed trunk suckering as well as grazing the cover crop.
When it comes to setting up for the sheep to graze at a vineyard, the process is actually fairly simple. A few days before you want to haul them in, you have to show up and bring your usually electric fencing. And other than that, you just bring in, a water trough and drop the sheep off, and they're pretty self-sufficient. My best employee is and always will be my border collie, Jack. He's as good, if not better, than 3 people that actually know what they're doing when it comes to herding livestock. And there's absolutely no way I could do this business without him. He's invaluable to me.
Sometimes trying something new in the vineyard means repeating something that farmers have done for centuries, but we may have just forgotten that that was something cool that you could do that would be beneficial for the vineyard. And it really makes farming exciting, and it feels very natural and holistic when we go back to some of these ancient farming practices.
It's been a great experience having the sheep out here. It's just such a natural thing to see sheep out there grazing in the vineyard.
If somebody was to ask me how it feels to finally have my sheep in a vineyard in Lodi, I'd have to say this is probably one of the most fulfilling experiences I've had since I've been in Lodi in the last 4 or 5 years. Hope the sheep, live up to the hype and do a good job and hit every vineyard in Lodi.
To learn more, check out lodirules.org or lodigrowers.com. We'd love to see you in Lodi, where you can meet a farmer and see these sustainable practices in action.
That's a little embarrassing. And here's the echo, so don't worry, I got it. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that, and we will have an article, like I said, an article about with some more practical tips if you're interested in trying sheep out in your vineyard. And I know several of you already have, so that's really great. We also, in 2021, as in it seems like every year, this is great news, that we've had more wineries decide to use one of our seals on their wine bottle. And marketing is just so important to the sustainability of sustainability programs. So we're very happy about that. And we want to remind everyone that we do have 3 different seal options: the LODI Rules seal, the California Rules seal, and what we call the certified green seal. And you're allowed to use different color combinations as featured here on your wine labels. I know some people prefer to use just the black and white label because it costs more money for every different color that you add to a wine label, and then other people prefer to use the green and red seal because it really pops out. So we do have those different options, and it is quite simple to use a seal once you have records that 85% of the grapes that went into that wine label are LODI Rules certified sustainable, which means that you keep blending records if applicable, and that you keep copies of LODI Rules certificates because the grapes are certified for one specific vintage. And before you can use a seal, you also need to make sure that you filled out a license agreement with the Lodi Wine Grape Commission. There is no fee to use the seal. We hope that the wineries, pay a bonus to the farmers for the grapes. If you have any questions about that, just let me know. And also, we do have a winery handbook and branding guidelines document that completely explains using the seal. Lots of nuances, and that is available at lodigrowers.com. It's also in the binders. So welcome to the new wineries. These are wineries that have joined in 2020 or 2021, since we didn't have this meeting last year. So welcome to Convergent Zone Cellars, Eno Dev Wine Company, Sutter Home Trincaro, Nota Bene Cellars, East Street Crew, Alliance Winery, Dean and Family Vineyards, Shady Creek Vineyard, Bryce Beer and Wine Company, Divine AB, Tabot Cellars, Protector Cellars, Jackson Rancheria Band of Miwok Indians, Campos Family Vineyards, and Deaver Vineyards. So please support these new members of our LODI Rules winery community. In May of 2021, the Lodi Wine Grape Commission hosted a LODI Rules Masterclass with Elaine Brown. And it's really great that this was even something we did, right? Because it means that there's so much interest in the LODI Rules program and in the consumers and the wine trade and the general public learning about sustainable wine growing. So Elaine Brown spent a lot of time researching the program and putting together a great lineup of speakers and wines, and this included LODI Rules Committee members Phil Abba and Madeline Colber, former committee member Kevin Phillips, and Aaron Lang, who is a leader in sustainability without being on the committee. And you can find this 2-hour video on YouTube. A lot of our participating LODI Rules wineries had their salespeople watch this video and participate because it really helped them learn how to explain sustainability and learn how to talk about it in an intelligent but approachable way. As a lot of you know, there's something in California called the Sustainable Wine Growing Green Medal Awards, and we've had several LODI Rules growers and participating wineries win over the past, I think the award has been going on for 6 years now. I am an organizer of the award and a judge, and congratulations to the 2021 winners. So O'Neill, Shannon Ridge, I practiced pronouncing this earlier. I don't know, I'm not quite sure. That collection, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, and Trincaro Family Estates. We're very proud of you, and we hope that everyone keeps up the good work. We also encourage all of our LODI Rules members to apply for the Green Medal Award for the 2022 year. These applications are due on February 4th, and you can find out more information about the program and apply at greenmedal.org. And I will tell you that even just taking, let's say, 25, 30 minutes to fill out an application will benefit you because you will learn how to explain your sustainable farming in a way that helps with your marketing. It's really beneficial even just to fill out the application. And as far as tips on the application go, you really want to answer the question that's being asked. And so if the question is about the viticulture side, make sure that you have someone who understands farming help answer that questions. We get a lot of applications where the marketing person for a winery fills out the farming questions, and it just doesn't really work. So you want to possibly engage a couple of different people in your organization to fill out an application. And you can also talk to Madeline. She's a previous Green Medal Award winner, and she could give you tips on the application filling out as well. But we really encourage all of our members to apply for that. Okay, so now we're up to the current year, 2022. We just started. The current LODI Rules certification calendar has been emailed to you and is also available online at lodigrowers.com/standards. It's also available as a PDF, as a handout that you can click in the handout section of this webinar. So nothing has changed in our timeline. The big date to know is that applications and fees are due on February 15th, the Protected Harvest. So Amy Heiser, who's on this call, has already started over the weekend emailing out applications. She hasn't finished, I don't believe, Amy, so she can update us on where she is with that. But you'll get your LODI Rules applications this week, and that's where you can add acreage, etc. Some of you have asked, which is great. Like, thank you, that's awesome. How you add vineyards. We always love it when our LODI Rules growers add vineyards. And yeah, so all the main dates are still approximately the same. And just as a reminder, we know it's confusing since there's the LODI Wine Grape Commission, Protected Harvest, and then your auditors. So we do understand that it's confusing and there's different people that you contact for different things. Know that you can always contact myself first if you're not sure who to contact and you don't want to waste your time figuring that out. It's okay. Like, you can always call me and we'll get you to the right person. So our phone number is there at the commission. And then as a reminder, Protected Harvest and Amy Heiser manage our certification process. So any questions about applications, fees, the online self-assessment, or certificates are always going to go to certification@protectedharvest.org or this 831 phone number listed here. And this contact information is in every binder on our website and also part of that PDF of the LODI Rules 2022 calendar. A lot of people ask about the fees for the LODI Rules program. So there is a base fee, which is higher for new growers, then an per acre fee depending on your location. And starting, I believe, last year, there's a renewal on-site audit fee when you have an on-site audit of $300. And those fees are all handled through Protected Harvest, not the commission. So next up, Amy Heiser is going to talk about, so Amy, if you don't mind turning on your video and your volume, your audio, and you can tell everyone the new improvement to the on-site post-audit document deadlines.
Sure, thanks, Stephanie. We are implementing this year sort of a timeline approach with documentation, submitting documentation after your audit. You'll get an audit report like you normally do with just a 30-day post-audit initial timeline for your first response. And we are hopeful that this will help everyone just kind of manage their time with getting documents in a little earlier. The earlier you get all your materials in, the earlier you get your certificates. So we know that that's really important for people to get certificates as early as possible. It's not a final deadline for everything to be done and completed. It's just that first response. And then the auditor will work with you to set up subsequent times and check-ins and follow-up dates to finish it out. So I think that covers that pretty much.
Thanks, Amy. And if you have any questions about this new deadline process, just make sure you contact Amy and she'll answer those questions, or your auditor as well. Thank you. So a lot of you, we've been talking about we had some PRT pilots, 2021 and 2020, and we've been telling you for several years that we're working on improving our pesticide risk models, and we have spent countless hours learning about the IPM Institute's pesticide risk tool and how we could use that in our program. And we think that we finally have some answers there, but we don't want to commit to anything until we know we're very confident and sure of how exactly we're going to roll everything out. But for 2022, we are using peas as is. So there are no changes there. We have gotten over the last 5 years about 40 different materials that people have emailed me about to see, you know, hey, this material, something like Jet Ag, for example, there's no peas points for that. So what should I do? So what we're going to do for we kept thinking that we're maybe going to move to a different model. So I wasn't updating that peas list with those new materials because we were thinking maybe we would not use the peas list anymore. So I started working on updating that peas list for everyone with with those new materials like Jet Ag, et cetera, added to it. So instead of emailing me to get the peas points or how you should report that on your peas to the auditor, you can now I'll have it up, I promise, by February 15th. And so it's the numbers, the peas risk points, the scores aren't changing. This is just adding new materials to hopefully make our lives a little easier and give you that information. Now, I'll talk when we get to 2023 about what that might look like then. So does anyone know who this gentleman is on the right-hand side in this photo? Some of you may recognize him. If you can look really close at your screen, that will give you a big hint. So on what we had planned to do for an in-person meeting for today's year-end recap was to have some people from the Dale Carnegie Group come and speak to you about some grape grower sales skills. And that, since we had a virtual meeting, we decided to postpone that part of this workshop and have it on March 9th. So on March 9th in Lodi at Burgundy Hall in the morning, we will have some people from the Dale Carnegie Group come and give us a workshop on sales skills for the wine grower. And I do realize that this is in Lodi, so some of you outside of Lodi would have to travel. If the workshop goes well and there's interest, we're definitely not opposed to having this type of workshop in other, through the Lodi Rules program in other parts of California. And also, since we have so many acres outside of the Lodi AVA, and there's so much to learn about outside of the Lodi AVA, we would like to also host some educational field trips around California and possibly beyond. So one of those field trips that we've been planning with Monica Bianchi, since she is friends with the folks that own Stemple Creek Ranch, is a trip out to Stemple Creek Ranch. So Stemple Creek Ranch is a cattle ranch that's out in Tamales Bay, and they do a fantastic job of describing sustainability and incorporating sustainability into their company culture and their marketing. And I think it could be a really great opportunity to connect some different Lodi Rules growers, wineries, maybe some people from the media, maybe some people from the wine trade, and just have kind of a small group field trip to learn something together about sustainability. And so that will be advertised through your emails that you get from us as well. Additionally, there will be a Lodi Rules Masterclass as part of the International Cool Climate Wine Symposium, which was postponed until July 2022. So if any of you are attending this Cool Climate Wine Symposium, would love to know that, and I would love for you to help out with the Lodi Rules Masterclass that we'll be hosting there. So just let me know. Okay, 2023, looking to the future. We have done a lot of standard revisions for the 4th edition that will be coming out, we believe, in 2023. Like we said, we don't like to change too many things frequently. So with the program, we like to stay pretty consistent. So when we update the pesticide risk model is also when we would want to incorporate any revisions into our standards or farming practices. So the LODI Rules Committee has worked really hard in creating some updates to standards and some new standards for you. And why are we doing this? We're doing this because our program does not require a farmer to improve from one year to the next. The way we improve over time is by revising our standards. So we improve the program based upon new knowledge over time, and that way our certification continues to be relevant, progressive, and stays at the forefront of sustainability innovation. So I'm not going to show you all of the updates or revisions. I'm just going to give you a quick overview. So here's a new standard on automation efficiencies that will be in the business management chapter. You will have time to comment on these new and revised standards as the grower community and let us know what you think. They've already been reviewed by the LODI Rules Committee and by the Protected Harvest Board. So this new standard has to do with improving your efficiency via a novel, innovative automation of a farming practice. For example, aerial imagery. Another new standard will be for sustainability marketing. So if you advertise your commitment to sustainability by putting a sign on your property, if you promote your sustainability in your grape marketing materials, I've seen a lot of you do that, which I think is fabulous. Or if you communicate to your wine grape buyers that you are certified and that they have the opportunity to use one of our 3 LODI Rule seals on their wine labels, then that also counts. Under ecosystem management chapter, we added snake habitat to acknowledge that there are beneficial snakes on company property, such as the California king snake. In the soil management chapter, we have some new standards that deal with soil erosion. In the water management chapter, you will now have to it will be a failed chapter standard to have that water management plan. So you might want to start thinking about that in 2022 if you don't have a water management plan already. And then in the pest management chapter, we're adding some standards on mealybugs, viruses, and also beneficial insects and invasive species. So that chapter, there's probably the most to add as we've learned about those different topics. So I don't want to say this with full confidence, but most likely we will have, for the pesticide risk model in 2023, sort of a PEAS 2. So a PEAS list that works the same way as it does now with updated point values that are based upon new science coming out of the pesticide risk tool. And we will make sure to have that new PEAS list ready by September 2022 if needed, since it will affect your decision making from post-harvest 2022 through harvest 2023. And don't worry, you'll get lots of emails and have lots of opportunities to learn about this change. We'd love to connect with you online. I've been saying over and over today about lodigrowers.com/standards. So that is the place to go as a grower for resources on the LODI Rules program, all the current documents. And if you can't remember that, you just go to lodigrowers.com, click on LODI Rules, click on Grower Resources. We do have a weekly viticulture blog through the commission, lodigrowers.com, also same website. And then our consumer targeted websites are lodirules.org and californiarules.org. It's really fun to follow #LODIRules on Instagram and see all of the good things that people are saying about the program out in the world as well. So we will be at booth 1410 at Unified. Please stop by if you'd like to grab a Hydro Flask. If you want to pick up any other of the program documents like a LODI Rules binder, just please send me an email and we'll have some of those ready for you. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us virtually this morning. Madeline and Amy, If you have anything to add, feel free to pop your camera on, and I can check for any questions now as well. So Larry,
I think you covered it all, Steph. You're fantastic.
Thank you. So I'm sorry a few of you had some problems with the sound on the video. I think it might have been the internet connection, you know, possibly on your end. I'm not quite sure. And I do, again, apologize for the echoing. And Larry Whitted had a good comment about mentioning that Lodi Rules Wines won Best White Wine at San Francisco Chronicle Wine Competition this weekend. So if you haven't heard of Acquiesce Winery, it's a winery in Lodi that kind of defied the odds and decided, Sue Tipton decided, I'm going to make white wines. And she makes white wines, a sparkling wine, and a rosé, even though a lot of wineries were really focusing on Zinfandel and red wines here. And she has just taken the world by storm and does a lovely job of explaining sustainability to her wine consumers, and just makes fantastic wines that won a lot of great awards. So if you haven't checked out Acquiesce, go for it. And Larry mentioned that the Acquiesce 2020 Viognier, which was the best white wine. So thank you, Larry. That's a great idea to mention that. And I did have some questions come in ahead of time. Any new reporting items or any way to make reporting less burdensome? So I don't think as a program we have any new tools to make reporting less burdensome. I know the first year is always the hardest. I think there's a few types of tips and tricks that we could share. A lot of people keep things electronically and then update them. So maybe they have a file system where they keep things by chapter and then saved by standard, and that makes it pretty quick and easy to prepare for your audit and to update things every year. Another thing that we're going to try and do is really clearly define the monitoring reports / scouting records that are asked for the off-site audits every year. That we realize has never been clearly defined. And so we'll do a better job of that for everyone for 2022. And then another question was, when will the workbook be fully electronic? And so the PDF is available now of the standards, which is it's available at lodigrowers.com/standards. Also available, we have Lodi Rules flash drives that we can give you that have it on there. And there may be one day in the future that things are more electronic, where you can upload your verification documents. But right now, if you upload your verification documents to the online self-assessment, those are deleted at the end of the year. So it's right now, I don't think it's really worth your time to upload the documents to the online self-assessment program. Any other questions? I think we're right at time here. Okay. If you have any follow-up questions or any comments or thoughts or concerns or ideas to improve the program, always welcome to email me, Stephanie@lodiwine.com. Okay, and so the tabs in the online guide don't work. Thank you, Phil. I will check on that. I'll make a note. So tabs, meaning that you could jump from chapter to chapter, I think is what you mean, and that is a great idea. And I learned how to do that on the PDF, so I will do that. Thanks, Phil. Any other questions, comments, concerns, just email me, and we really appreciate your time. And you will get a certificate for your attendance following the webinar. All right, everyone, have a great week, and we hope to see you at Unified or sometime in the future. Goodbye.
You're stressed.
What, Madeline?